is one. I could be quiet today. Eh?
Yay! Well, you know what? We don't like you to be quiet, Sia, because we always love the spirit you infuse into all these conversations, and you always bring so much wisdom and knowledge. You know that, especially like one of the first few times when I was like, and then this woman can talk about anything, any
I,
topic.
it's called the art of bull. You know what? Basically, and I think everyone should master it at some point in their lives because it is a lot of fun.
Well, and a lot of fun we shall have today learning about something that is so near and dear to my heart. And y'all know in the caregiving community, the struggles that we go through, but how do we move past those struggles? How can we become a little bit more equipped with tools to deal with the day ins, the day outs of caregiving? And you think you might not be wearing a caregiving hat, but you will at one point in your life. So, I mean, happy Saturday, y'all. I didn't even greet anyone. Happy Saturday. Today is just a wonderful day. It is the last day of May. All right. So I'm glad we're having this conversation because, as y'all knew, May was or is Mental Health Awareness Month. So for us, this topic fits like right in there. I'm really happy. So, anyhow, look at
Can
Sia just smiling.
can I say one quick thing before we get going?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
I want to wish my sister a happy birthday.
Oh, sister.
So
Happy
so I won't
birthday.
say her name because she doesn't really care. She goes by multiple names anyway, but um uh Piangi Ungaliciousness, happy birthday to you. She doesn't go on LinkedIn or YouTube, so this will be really funny me singing into the ether here. But hey guys, celebrate my sister. My sister. My sister. All
Yeah,
right,
but
that's
you
it.
can always send her a little snippet of the clip so that she knows that she's loved and appreciated. So happy birthday to sisters. Yeah, yeah, to
Yes. All
sisters.
right. That's it. That's all I got. I got nothing more.
All right. Well, again, before this is just an amazing topic that I really wanted to get. I'm so honored to have the wonderful guest that we have today, and so I'm eager for the audience to learn more. So before we dive in, let's go ahead and roll that intro, Miss Producer.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Influencers Connection Corner.
And dance and
And
dance
dance. And
dance
dance. Why? Come on. There we go.
and
And
dance.
dance. And
Yeah,
dance.
I don't think Restream wanted to see my dancing skills this morning. So, oh
It is
my
it is a funny platform. I will tell you that much.
Restream, get it together, my friend. No, anyhow, but anyways, guys, welcome again. We are here celebrating the last day of May. What are your plans for the summer? So many wonderful things going on. I know my kids are eager to get out of school, and I am like, what am I going to do with these children? So, anyone in the Houston area, if y'all know of any summer camps or anything that will be interesting, let me know. Holler at a mama over here because we need to know.
I honestly I think well maybe the little one might be a little too young, but I do love Meow Wolf, man, because it's a story and you get to dig deeper into it. It's not just eye candy. There's stuff, a whole plot line going on underneath it. So I think that's a lot of fun. If you have creative children, I love that place. And Meow
Mhm.
Wolf does not sponsor this show, but should they desire to, we're open to it.
Hey, and my first time ever having that experience was with you in Vegas. And so that was very interesting. I know my children would definitely love that. So,
It I mean, yeah, Area 15 was a real interesting. I think it's a great concept, so I'm really intrigued to see how it's. I hope they are successful, because when we
mm,
went, it was, like, empty, but then again, we were at, like, grandma, grandpa hours, right? So, it was, like, in the
right.
daytime.
Right. No, so I like again, I've been thinking of all sorts of ideas. So I know parents, if you haven't enrolled your kid in a camp or some sort, we also have. I do know of one amazing one, right, that we have going on, which is with Tech Fest Live. We do have
Yes.
an amazing opportunity for kids here in Houston locally, especially middle school and high school students, to come out to Shell Energy Stadium. This is where the Houston Dynamo plays. So we're just really proud to be partnering up with and collaborating with all these amazing brands and entities and organizations who are coming out to rally behind our youth in STEM. So shout out to Mr. Khalil Vinson, the founder of TechFest Live. And, for the last 6 years, this is the 6th year that he will be doing this. And it's just bigger and better every single year. But yes, what is STEM Day? Basically what it is called a STEM Go Pro Day. So what that means is that basically we are just focusing on anything that is with STEM, so if you don't know what STEM stands for, science, technology, engineering, math. And these are careers, these are entities, these are individuals that help in kids kind of learn different pathways that may not be the norm, go to college 4 years, right? There's trade schools. There are different things and specialties that kids can actually start exploring, even in middle school. That it's never too early, I think, because I know if I remember when I was in high school, man, I didn't even have an idea of what I wanted to do when sitting in my counselor's office.
Well, I think there is a great opportunity, right, for these types of events to inspire that, inspiration. Like, wow, inspire inspiration. Wow, I am on fire today, people. But to get that curiosity for kids to know, hey, careers in technology in general doesn't have to be just about coding. There's so many other areas. And in the world that we live in, we're so digital. There's great opportunity in all sectors. So huge, huge, huge. You can never be too early to get kids introduced to their careers. 100%.
I totally agree. I see it, right, because of my daughter. My daughter's 11. She loves STEM, and obviously she'll be there, but just being able to see her, how she's flourishing through that and how she's maneuvering through that journey of discovering what her likes and desires are, what she wants to be. She's already called it out. She wants to be some sort of engineer. And I'm like, okay, girl, let's go for it. I will nurture that. So how else can I nurture that? So this is one of the aspects in one way you can. And I know TechFest Live, this is not a one-time thing. We're going to continue working with kids here in Houston local community. So June 26th, everyone, if y'all don't have any plans that day, it's a Thursday from 9:30 to 2:30 p.m. We will be at Shell Energy Stadium where the Dynamo play. And get your tickets, scan that QR code. I'll also be posting throughout just to let parents know, educators, school districts. This is a very wonderful and immersive experience. 50 exhibitors from all over the place will be there, just showcasing you what dreams, what dreams you may have in your head that you think that are not possible, that can actually be possible. So I'm super excited. Get your tickets. And then also, not to forget to mention, not only does it let you go in the actual day on the June 26th to the exhibition or the expo, but it also allows you to go to the actual game on that Saturday, which is against the St. Louis City on June 28th. So the ticket gets you into both locations or both events. Okay. So, hey.
Well, hey, girl, you've been selling up a thingy. Guys, Khalil, the founder, is actually in the chats as we speak. So I'm trying to share his comments so everyone knows. Chat away. Got any questions? Khalil, get ready. We got questions. You answer away in the chat, my friend.
Yes, Khalil, thank you so much. And again, hit us up and we can work with you, district, school, teachers, it doesn't matter. Just because the idea is to get kids exposed, and we're expecting about 700 to 1,000 kids. So we're excited.
Wow.
But anyhow, I know I blabbed away on that. Shout out also to another Houston local figure that is doing amazing things here. Chef Lena, we love you. Yesterday, we happened to be at Channel 11, Great Day Houston. It was quite a beautiful experience, and just seeing everything that is going on with the Asian community. And so I'm excited. Tonight we have another event, so check us out. I'll be posting about it in a little bit. But enough said from one wonderful community of just people wanting to help to another wonderful caregiving community, and these superheroes. I call them the sister duo. That they just been all over the place helping the caregiving community with maybe in Mental Health Awareness Month. Sometimes we don't really think as professional that we go through these issues or that we wear that caregiving hat, but we do in many different formats, ways, and aspects. So without further ado, I am honored to pretty much introduce you all to the amazing caregiver, sister duo. I don't even know if super women to call them.
Oh my God, girl. You are just we're on fire today. So yes, this is the one, the only. I thought I had a drum roll, you guys. I don't have a drum roll. But the one and only JJ, Natalie, Elliott. What?
That was good.
Welcome. Oh, well, there you go. See, Nat came prepared.
I bring my own cheering crowd.
Oh my God, ladies, I love this vibe. It is Saturday. Come on, it is
That's
Saturday.
right.
Laugh a little bit, but this is the beauty of it. Part of what your brand stands for is how do we infuse those moments of reality, right? Of that humor. Not everything is going to be perfect when it comes to caregiving. So I love it, and you always definitely make us laugh. But welcome, ladies. This is JJ, Elliott Hill, and Natalie Handy. Thank you so much. And they comprise what we call Confessions of a Reluctant Caregivers podcast, but it's also the brand, and it's loaded with so many different things. So welcome, ladies. How are y'all doing?
I'm doing great, Natalie.
I am also great. I am just over here living my best life, happy and thrilled to be here on a Saturday. I mean, honestly, I can't think of a better way to spend Saturday morning. I'm not gonna lie to you. Now that cartoons are completely off and they're not as much fun as they used to be, I'm in it. I am totally in it.
The
Oh my
Jetsons aren't
God.
on, and I'm just
Nope.
thankful Natalie and I didn't wear the same shirt because
Mostly
usually
that.
that's what happens.
Yeah, we do like to shop at the same place. We'll just randomly name like Talbot's. You can sponsor any of us, actually.
There you go.
This
Oh my
today's
gosh.
outfit brought to you by Talbot's.
Okay.
We're helping you out. We're always helping with sponsors. You're good.
Yeah, anybody would like to sponsor us, totally fine. Raquel is doing an amazing job. Sponsor.
Oh my goodness. Well, you ladies, like I said, you all been all over the place in a good way, just really contributing back to the caregiving community. And one of the aspects that I've always kind of wanted the audience to walk away with is understanding where this desire and was born, where, why caregiving community and the word reluctant, those two aspects. So if you want to get into that and just tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. Well, it really kind of started with me. My husband is a head and neck cancer survivor. We're 3 years out, and I never self-identified. None of it. The sisters and I, and I say the sisters, we're Baptists. We're not Catholic. We're not nuns either. And so we're definitely not nuns. But we didn't. I mean, we'd been caregiving for many, many, many years, never self-identified as that because we were daughters. I was a wife, supporting my husband. And it wasn't until I came back after Jason's successfully completed his treatment that I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And my background is working in the mental health field. I train on regulation. I train on mental health. I train people how to work with people who are dysregulated, or as I like to say, upside down. And I was so upside down. And guys, I was the CEO of a mental health company in Virginia, and I couldn't figure out how to take the next step forward once I came down from what I call my bipolar high of going through 2 months of his treatments. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, and you're trying to ebb and flow with it. And mostly it was just surviving. And I think I had tools that I pulled from. I think it was things that I was just so used to that I wouldn't necessarily have named. But when I got back home, I never, I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And it was grief. It was truly grief. And who has grief when your husband survives an illness? So I talked to the sisters and I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I feel like I'm so distracted. I feel like I'm angry at times. And they were like, gosh, I feel that way too. And we started talking about it because of course our mom has been living with Parkinson's now for over 22 years. And I talked to Jay and M. Emily is our younger sister. And they were like, yeah, I have these same feelings and emotions. Like, I don't want to do this because I don't want to be in this situation. If you want to know where reluctant came from, the reluctance is not a lack of or desire to care for a person. Now, sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes I don't want to. I'm like, I would just rather sit on the couch and not have to jump up and whatnot. But the reality is that it's our own thoughts, feelings, and emotions of inadequacy. I'm not doing a good enough job. And that's where that's where the title Reluctant Caregiver came
Mm,
from.
mm,
And I knew I couldn't be the only one. We couldn't be
yeah.
the only one feeling this way. So I said to Jay, I was like, we should start a podcast. And Jay, what did you say to me?
I said, okay, sure. And and the funny thing was, we had never listened to a podcast. You all need to know
No,
that. We didn't know where to find one, but our corporate background said, well, if we're going to start a podcast, we might as well we need social media. So we started all the platforms, we got a marketing plan, and we just went crazy. So because if we reached one person, we were like, we need to talk to all these people, these 53 million people that are out there, unpaid family caregivers. And we're really surprised because everybody listened. And so we're really blessed because there's a lot of us out there.
there's a lot of us out there.
Well, I'm glad you ladies went crazy, for lack of a better word. If crazy
Yeah.
means breaking the envelope and really pushing the boundaries of what caregiving is defined as, and reframing it to be, hey, it's okay. We are all in this together. You are not alone out there in this journey, because it is scary, especially
Uh-huh.
as professionals, right? Yes,
Yes.
we're business people, we're entrepreneurs, but at the same time, we do have a life. There's a person behind the suit and the tie, and I always call it the heels. But
Mhm.
for me, it's been, how do I, right, being a sandwich generation, millennial, having to still rear children and also take care of my elderly parents. It's not an easy task. How do I manage that? How do I navigate it? So as you've gone and been invited to different conferences to speak, what is the one resounding message that you've heard from professionals?
Well, it was very interesting. I don't think it's a conversation that comes up enough in any industry. I think you've got progressive companies that you kind of almost expect it from, that have like employee resource groups. But I mean, and they have unique kind of benefits. But I've never really thought much about my benefits except for how much it costs me and what my copay is. Okay, I'm going to tell you, most people do not understand their benefits. And more than ever, that's one of the things that JJ and I talk about to executives all the time, is that, hey, what are your benefits for your employees? And you've got to look beyond just the copays and the out of pocket expense, because this is going to impact your recruitment, retention, and culture. And so we've been talking to CEOs more and more. Many of these CEOs who reached out to us are like, and they do so humbly, saying, I don't know what to do with my parents. That's typically what what they have said to us. And so we come in and we talk to CEOs and executives to talk about, one, their personal piece, because typically this is not the kind of thing that people are talking about in the workplace. We talk about babies and we talk about deaths, but we don't talk about having to clean up my parent before I come to work. And it might be the reason why. And so we're really looking to normalize the conversation, to make the word caregiver a lot more popular, and people self-identify and understand that those roles can be concurrent. And then really engaging the employer to say, how are you supporting caregivers? 7 out of 10 Americans are working full-time or part-time, and they're providing unpaid family caregiving to their loved one.
Yeah. And I think for all of us that don't recognize the impact at work that it's having, we really have to recognize that even when we're at work, and our employer has to realize this as well, are we really present? And that's one of the biggest issues. I think about myself, and when we had a medical crisis with our mom, if I hadn't been self employed, I would probably have lost my job. And employers have to recognize that. Why? Because I'm on the phone with doctors. I'm trying to arrange transportation. I got to leave work to take mom to the doctor. Am I on the phone with the pharmacy? And presenteeism is one of the biggest issues that's out there today. And it's costing employers a lot of money. We talk about, Natalie and I we're overwhelmed with all these facts people throw at us. There was this study done in the state of New York. And what the study found was that 50% of caregivers would actually move jobs if they found an employer that offered caregiver benefits. And I thought about that for myself. And I thought, gosh, if I was still working in banking, because that was my background, 20 years of corporate finance, And they were, they were shutting me down and saying, you just don't have any time left to take your mom to the doctor. My mom has Parkinson's. We've got to go see the neurologist. And I had a bank that said, you know what? You've got flexible time. When your mom's in this medical crisis and you've got to take 4 weeks off, we're going to allow other employees to gift you PTO. Dude, I'd be jumping ship. I'd be going to another job too. And those are the forward thinking, processes that employers today have got to get on board with. And so I think one of our missions is we want to take care of that. We got to focus on caregivers. They've got to take care of themselves because they're dying sooner than the people they're caring for. But employers have got to step up. They have got to take care of their employees because it's not a personal problem. It's a business problem, and it's costing businesses money. People are not staying, but they've got to think about that when they're recruiting people because it costs a lot of money to recruit and to train people. Well, if they're walking out the door 2 months later, you just wasted all that money. So there's so many facets that you've got to take care of as a caregiver.
JJ's really on fire. I just want you to know that she's
me
burning
angry.
hot. I'm pretty sure she's got flames on her head right now.
I mean, it makes me angry because you're not taking care of your employees. And as an employer, you're just like, you gotta get up. You got to get on board. And, Nat, you said something about the CEOs. They come to us because it's a personal problem. And that's the first time that they recognize it. And you have to say, did you think about the fact that maybe that's impacting your employees?
Well, let's get real. It's impacting your bottom line. And so the cost of employee turnover is 3 to 4 times their salary. Okay. And then if we know that there's not enough human capital at this point and we're fighting for the same talent. And so this again goes back to your recruitment, retention, and culture strategy. And so if you don't see caregiving issues no different than women's issues or what are the issues that are the needs of your employees, those employees are the bottom line. Oh, wait. Does Maria have a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
We love questions.
I mean, I love the fact, fire, passion, intent, everything, right? And because at the end of the day, we have to have alignment in order to make change, impact, and all of that. And this is why I love the way you ladies work. You advocate. We have to advocate because it's so important. Otherwise, who's going to advocate for our elderly? Who's going to advocate for individuals with different abilities? We have to come together. So I love the passion. So there's not a problem with that. But yes, I know the audience. Oh my God, the audience is going. I am so excited because this is a needed topic, right? Especially in the business realm. We don't talk about this. We don't have spaces where we can talk about these. That's why you create them. So yeah, I know there was a question already. Syya, if we can go ahead and answer it. And let's see who
I
has
like
a question? Maria. Okay. Hi, Maria. Thank you so much for joining us. How is caregiver benefits in the U.S. being impacted by the current cuts? That's
loaded on so many different ways. First, we'd have to start off with saying that we had good caregiver benefits in the first place, and the reality is that we don't. Okay. Compared to other countries, we are not caring for, especially our aging population, our disabled population, as well as we could. And I think this is where the US is somewhat behind. I will say that there are changes to the ACL. And they were looking at placing it and actually pulling parts of the ACL department, which really covers your aging and disabled population. They were looking to putting them elsewhere. They actually are keeping them under one specific department. I just saw that on LinkedIn this morning. Thank you. Seeing that's a positive thing, but they're cutting a lot of programs. I will say this, the other thing that I saw this morning is that the lifespan respite grant, which is a federal grant to all states, is actually intact, and it was not impacted by the continuing resolution that the House passed. Guys, that's important because that's a $600 grant that caregivers can access in any state. And you need to look at it. It's either through your Health and Human Services, it might be through your health department, but if you look up lifespan respite grant and your state, you'll be able to find which respective department and use that money. That money is there. These are tax-paying dollars, and that you should use. Am I concerned? I've worked in the human service field for 25 years. So to kind of go back to that question, I'm concerned that the current administration, just respectfully, I think we've lost some ground because the focus is on other areas. If your focus is on tariffs and your focus is on reducing employees, your focus is on these other areas. I think we did great strides with the guide program. We've done great strides with dementia plans, Alzheimer's plan, dementia and Alzheimer's, but also Parkinson's plan was passed by Congress prior to 2025. I feel like we've lost some focus on some of those really important initiatives that then funnels dollars into the states. And so I think that at this point, there are changes that are coming, and a lot of our nonprofits are feeling it, especially. And so whether you're for profit or a nonprofit, dollars are being cut. And I think this is really important for folks to get out and use your voice. It feels like your voice doesn't matter, but it is shocking how a
Yeah.
letter with personal experience to your congressman, your representative, who is your government entity, your voice matters, and sharing that personal story.
Oh, my goodness. And we always talk, in branding, that storytelling is one of the most, I would say, important factors, right? And actually conveying a message. And so we all have a story. We all have our lived experiences to share. And I know individuals that say, security online and all that stuff. But this is your reality. This is what we go through. And your reality, it's really duplicated and replicated across all households, all living rooms in the United States and globally. So it is important. And thank you so much for that call to empower themselves in order to be able to advocate, because that's the only way we're going to be able to impact change. And this is the realization how deep rooted caregiving is, how it really ingrains itself and infuses in all aspects of our lives. Business-wise, personal, right? Community-based. As far as communities, how do we come together to make more impact, make more change? And this is why I love the space you ladies have created with Confessions podcast. But not only that, just the community itself, right? Just tell us a little bit about how that it has been.
I think the community is amazing, but I will tell you, we go back to the stories, and it's because we're open to tell our stories, and we talk about the stories that we share, bring those because it's with no judgment. And our story, I think it's important to share is that, it started, the way the podcast came about was Natalie realizing and titling us as Reluctant Caregivers. But the story with our mom started with really being completely unprepared. And that's one of the big steps in the way we like to say, as a caregiver, you can really make life a whole lot easier by being prepared. And our story started, our mom was early onset Parkinson's at 48. She was diagnosed at 52. And our family plan, and Natalie and I will say, our family plan was that Dad would always take care of her. And our dad passed away of a massive heart attack at 58. He was retired, no health problems before, and we keep our sense of humor about it. And we say, Dad, what are we supposed to do with Mom? We still talk to him today. Like, Dad, what were we supposed to do with Mom 20 years ago? And it's hard because in the South, we never talked about money. We never talked about wills. We never talked about any planning. And I think that's really a reason why we have built such a community, is that so many people end up in positions like ours, unprepared, no idea what to do going forward. And we always say there's three of us. There is myself, there is Emily, our youngest sister, and there's Natalie. And it takes three of us to take care of our mom. And the community that we built is really just about relationships. Our caregivers come on and they share their story on our podcast. And they want to hear that story to really say, theirs, to hear their story isn't different. They can have those thoughts and feelings and emotions of, I can't do this anymore. How do I do this? And that's where the camaraderie and really that fellowship and friendship and just engagement comes from.
Well, and to jump in here, just giving JJ a breath. So Isolation is one of the biggest problems with caregiving.
Mhm.
And it can be very isolating because the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that you're experiencing can elicit shame, can feel like
Mhm.
blame is involved, can be fear. It can be embarrassing because we don't talk about these things. We don't normalize talking about our emotions. And especially because May's, National Mental Health Awareness Month, we haven't normalized that. We normalize you've got cancer, you've got heart disease, but people like to know why. There's always like, they want to know the why. And the why is typically because they don't want it. They don't want the bad thing to happen to them. So whether it's ALS or whatnot, what's the why behind it? But we tend to, I feel like it's almost like mothers too. The people are pregnant, they're very excited about them, and then they have the baby and people forget about the mother and all they want to do is hold the baby. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, people are always asking about the person who is ill, and that is perfectly appropriate. But I'm going to be very bold and say, ask about the caregiver, because let me tell you something. These people are struggling and they feel guilt for even verbalizing that they're
Mhm.
having a hard time. It's supposed to be like there's this rainbows and unicorn, like, oh, I get to clean up after you. I get to up in my life. I get to not have sleep at night. I get to not have all these things. And yes, it's just a privilege. And the answer is no, it sucks. It really just flat out sucks. And sometimes it's hard to manage that. And sometimes all you need to do, and this is a mental health component, is just be able to simply say, this is hard. And then once you're able to say that and feel validated, that's why we have 4 areas we hit on: relate, educate, inspire, laugh. Laughter is so important. And because sometimes if you don't laugh, you will cry. And so I think that's where it's so important. And this comes back again to employers. This comes back to Amy's question when she was asking about are business owners interested in getting services for supporting employees when they're suddenly thrown in? Well, the first step is it feels like a little AA. The first step is saying you're a caregiver. And if you don't self-identify as a caregiver, you can't ask your employer for supports. And most employers, I truly believe, need to hear from their employees, no different than our politicians need to hear from their constituents, that I am a caregiver, I need supports. This is how I need to be supported. Because if they've never gone through that, I mean, the 10 years I was at my former employer, and I was, and I'm sitting there thinking, we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about that because we never heard it from HR. We never heard it bubble up from our employees. And this is where, when you start hearing it, you have to do something about it. Now, employers, I mean, back to your question, can stick their head in the sand and say, we're not going to deal with that because that's going to cost us a lot of money. But I'm going to tell you, I'm these folks are working and working for you at the same time. It is going to impact your
Mm.
bottom line. And again, with turnover, and I can tell you, there are stats in here in the behavioral health industry alone, turnover is costing the behavioral health industry $500 billion a year. That's a 30 to 60% turnover rate. That was from a Relias training that I went to at NatCon. And the hidden cost of not addressing these employee needs and saying, are you a caregiver? Do you know what this is? Is productivity, it's burnout, it's loss of institutional knowledge when they leave, and the cost alone of recruitment and retention. And so I'm going to tell you,
Um,
you gotta address it, folks.
Absolutely. And thank you for definitely sharing those stats and facts with us, Nat, because it sometimes employers really don't think that it affects them in any way. And I think of it as a fact, as an entrepreneur, is that invisible labor that we all do as caregivers. It is withering. It really does take away from being able to grow in the business place, in the career, or it takes away from that knowledge and the wisdom that we may have, or we feel that we may not be catching up, especially with innovation in tech and in AI, et cetera, right? But however, how do we bridge that gap? How do we come together and help caregivers not feel left out, not feel like they're isolated, right? Again, that is another thing that I remember I battled with that a lot, because I felt no one will understand me. No one is going to understand what I'm going through, because this is just me. I'm the only one who's going through this stuff, not knowing that my next door neighbor, because we don't talk, that community aspect is gone. may be going through the same thing or is going through the same thing. How do we support one another? So this is the important thing in having these safety spaces for everyone to feel that they can come with their questions, that they can get the tools and the right resources. And so I love it. And I know that one of the resources that you all have, besides the podcast and besides sharing the caregiving stories, is you'll have a series,
Yeah.
the Hero series, for example. Can you tell us a little bit
Oh
about
yeah,
that?
we do training and we do special series. And so the training part is a way that we advocate and offer education. Our training series are always free. We've done a dental health and the impact of dental health on your overall health and wellness. That's on our YouTube channel. Absolutely go check that out. That is a 6-part series that we did with our friends at Coral. We also this year we did a new series called the Caregivers Playbook, and I'm super proud of that. We partner with Dr. Guy Maytal, and he's with Forge Health, and
Yes. Let's see a
he's a
little bit of that.
psychiatric
Yeah.
oncologist. And so Dr. Guy and I have done multiple trainings. We started with the Caregivers Playbook for general caregivers, for anybody, and also for professionals. So if you're a professional and you support caregivers or individuals, you have individuals that you serve and their family. So remember, these family members are caregivers, dual roles. You want to learn more about this. That was a 4-part series. It was our kickoff as part of our permanent Caregivers Playbook series. So that was in January and February on our YouTube channel, no cost. All of them are easy digest, 30 minutes. Love it. But then we've got our newest one that's coming up this coming Thursday, June the 5th. We are recognizing our military and active duty connected caregivers. They are absolute hidden heroes. And friends, our military, the caregivers supporting military and active duty have different challenges than traditional. And it's not that it's harder, it's different. But there is a commonality, again, regardless of what the illness is, whether it's aging, disabled, chronic illness, complex illness, substance use disorder, serious mental illness, regardless of what the person they're caring for's illness or health condition is, it is the caregiver we're asking you to recognize as well. And so this training is nothing but talking about the challenges that those caregivers who are supporting active duty and veterans are experiencing. And so super excited about that. You're definitely going to want to tune into that. Again, another fantastic, and it's free. I love free.
Yes.
Free
That's
feels
part
so
of
good.
it.
I just wear a
That's
free
part.
t-shirt all the time. Like, come on, get on it. Put on the free t-shirt.
Well, that is a beautiful thing again that I also love about you both, is that all this information is free. It's out there. You're doing the work. You're doing everything, the groundwork, as I should say, and you're giving the community all this information, the tools, and the resources. So make sure, ladies and gents, to check this out. It's very important, and not only a way to support our own military, our caregivers, but also the community. The veteran community needs us. I'm not lying. I had the wonderful opportunity through Chef Lena this past Monday, Memorial Day, to be able to organize and participate in helping give back to our veteran community. And they need all the help that we can get. And it's never too early or too late to start doing and contributing and doing the best that you can when it comes to that. Because at the end of the day, we will all wear a caregiving hat at one point in our
Universal
lives.
experience, friend. It's universal. We're all guaranteed to be caregivers or receive care. So whether you may never be a care, but remember, don't box yourself in. Don't box the definition of caregiving in, friends, because you can be a caregiver to a caregiver. Now, I'm going to tell you, I am a caregiver to my husband, and I'm intermittent care at this point because we're 3 years post-treatment. But in 2 weeks, we're going back up to New York for his checkup. And the reality is I can feel the anxiety coming on in our family, and I can feel my little caregiver antennas are going up. And so I'm trying to think about how can I be more sensitive to him as he's very nervous. And I'm still feeling super confident, hey, we're still going to be no cancer detected 3 years later. I feel that way. But on the other side of that caregiving piece is I'm also a caregiver, a supportive caregiver, not only for my mom, but I'm a caregiver for my sister, Jay, and for Emily, because caregivers need caregivers. Advocates need advocates. We've talked about that in partnerships. We partner with CVS, and we talked about how we had an advocate for our mom. And there was an issue with medication with our mom. And we had Eileen, who we freaking love. We love you, Eileen, who was with CVS Pharmacy, Specialty Pharmacy. And she helped us make sure our mom, in short, made sure that she got her medicine. And this, otherwise we were going to have to pay, what was it, Jay? 7,000?
It was almost $7,000 for
out of
mom's
pocket
medication that month.
because there was a clerical error by our dad's pension company.
Oh my
And so
God.
this is where, and so JJ's the primary for our mom. And so when I'm like the Kraken, I'm ready. Jay, just release me on anyone. Like when you're ready, insurance, I'm on it. You need me to go speak to this person, I'm on it. And how do you tag out? How do you tag out as caregivers to support a primary? Because JJ is my mom's primary preferred. She's the oldest, which I know everybody's watching and they can tell very clearly she's the oldest. And so it's always evident. Yeah, I know, you're right. And but I say that jokingly because that's our standing joke. Because I'm the middle. I'm yellow mustard. She's Grey Poupon. And if you're old enough to know the commercial, you'll know what we're talking about. And but I need to, how do I support Jay? Emily and I both are like, how do we support? And we all tag team. That is critical. But for those solo caregivers, you got to find your team. You got to find the people.
Or for the feuding siblings,
girl,
I should
that
say.
is
That's
totally common.
You know, there's so many people, and they'll ask us, they're like, you guys are just perfect. And
Oh,
you
we're not.
love, and we're like, you have not seen cats and dogs fighting, have you? I mean, let us tell you. So there are, you know, with caregivers, there are families that have really difficult times, and it is a big source of conflict, a true conflict. But even though we have what we call, we have a positive relationship in our caregiving experience because we share that with our mom. But there are difficult times and difficult relationships and difficult episodes. We do have one sort of rule, and that is when a decision is made, even if one person disagrees, we will support the others. We will support the others in their decision. And that was a decision, for example, we decided to move our mom out of assisted living, and Emily was going to take care of her full time.
She quit her job.
She quit her
moved
job
from another state to take care of our mom.
And Natalie was absolutely
turn around,
vehemently
don't
against
drown.
it.
That's what I said.
And Emily has the heart of gold, and she has raised the children, and she really wanted to do it because otherwise our choice was to send mom to skilled nursing. And so she did it.
Like we're putting her, like we were putting her out to pasture. We were going to send her to skilled nursing.
Well,
this was a family decision.
It was a family decision, but that was really our only other, that was the option because we knew that the services that she needed, she was not going to get at assisted living. And it lasted about 7 months. And at that point, mom knew that it wasn't going to work either, the care that she needed. Emily couldn't do 24 hours a day. And the services out there that we were supposed to receive, the help with care coming in to help mom even 4 hours a day, we couldn't get those. You know, we were supposed to get them, but no one showed up. And we were supposed to be part of, you know, a meals, they were going to bring in meals, this service that mom had supplied. Those never showed up. Yeah, never showed up.
Just because you have a benefit, be careful. Just because you have a benefit doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of incompetence out there.
I think ultimately that even caused, I think at the end of that, I think it's important to say that at the end of that time, that 7 months, Emily left that really emotionally. She just emotionally was, I don't want to say broken, but it really was so hard on her. 7 months of 24-hour care every day. Yeah. And there was a time there where it was like she needed to separate from us. And when you see our podcast originally, she was part of it. I think that's important to note. And now caregiving is really a difficult process, something really difficult, a topic for her to talk about because she has been in it. And she, you know, the relationship that she had with mom, it's so difficult to change roles. You go from the child and the parent to now she's almost the parent. And it's something that's really emotionally, it's very hard for her to talk about. And again, that time, you know, those sisters, Emily was like, don't call me. And there was a silent zone in there, but sometimes that silence, that was very healing for us because she needed to heal. And so it's not all, as Natalie says, not all, unicorns and
Oh,
rainbows with
it's
that stuff.
not rainbows.
Yeah.
The other thing that and somebody asked this in the chat, was about the hidden
Mhm.
cost of caregiving. And the AARP puts out cost of caregiving every year. For our Caucasian friends, it's about $7,200 a year. It goes up significantly for our Black and Brown friends who are caregiving. And so that's closer to $10,000 to $11,000. All these stats are on AARP's website, which is a fantastic resource, as well as Caregiver Action Network, as well as National Alliance for Caregiving. You want to know what's going on politically, especially for businesses. Those are great places that you can also, along with us, we're pulling information. Jason Resendez with National Alliance for Caregiving is a huge advocate, as well as Marvell Williams. And then, of course, on the military side, Elizabeth Dole Foundation and those folks are doing there, advocating for the VA benefits and for our military caregivers again. But the hidden cost really comes in. I can tell you that we spend well over $7,000, and we know our privilege. Let's just be really honest. And people from lower socioeconomic will be more negatively impacted, which will impact their families generationally. I'm going to tell you right now, it impacts you generationally from generational wealth. And so you are a lot of cultures. You got to think about caregiving from a culture standpoint. There is a level of expectation. I see Syya nodding her head being like, preach girl, like giving a high five on that one. Because the reality is certain cultures, the expectation is, it isn't a female expectation. We haven't even talked about the fact that the role is so female dominant in our society. And yet 40% of caregivers are males.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's important to think about. And if you're having all boys, you can't be expecting the wives, because that doesn't mean, there are so many amazing male caregivers. We have a specialty series that are around males, that are around spouses. We have, again, another military series, which is huge for us in November, which is Heroes Caring for Heroes. And that's where we dive deeper into military caregivers and recognize nonprofits that are provide supports specifically for caregivers of military and veterans. But the cost of caregiving is so impactful. It's both micro, on the direct level, from a physical, spiritual, emotional, all those elements are impacted. And then a macro level, that's where it hits businesses. That's where it hits public safety, the cost to government entities, government programs. So this is why we're trying to shout from the rooftops, guys, this is impacting us all. And 7,000 is a generous way, because I'm going to tell you, it's they say that I'll throw out another number per, again, that 2020 AARP and NAC study. They said that it's having a $600 billion impact on our economy, is what unpaid family caregivers have. And I'm going to tell you, I don't make $15 an hour. So
I was about to ask about that part, because it's like it's a part-time job.
Oh.
That's the way I see it. It's like
part-time.
Don't get paid
The
for
average
it.
number of hours a caregiver, an unpaid family caregiver is providing, is 26 hours a week. If you have Parkinson's, ALS, Alzheimer's, it bumps up to 44 to 46 hours a week.
Yeah.
So I wish it was only part-time.
Yeah. And I think it's, Natalie, we talk about that number, the $600 billion impact. That was based on the 53 million. The new number of unpaid family caregivers is over, what is it? Over
105
million.
105 million. And that's a third of the population, people. And I still think it's underrated. And the pandemic did not help. But what the pandemic did is it really, as Americans and as the world, if you think about it, we all shifted some priorities. We all shifted. And so the silver lining of the pandemic is exactly what we're doing right now. We're all connecting with each other, people that we would have maybe never connected with, especially in the behavioral health field. Like, we didn't use technology like this. And so I love that when you were talking about the beginning, the STEM project and people getting into technology, and how do we bring this amazing technology into the behavioral health and into healthcare in general, and how do we take that to amplify our caregivers and support our caregivers differently. It's when we can embrace technology, and technology for good, because sometimes technology can be for bad. But when we can embrace technology and incorporate it into our everyday life, it doesn't replace humans. You use it as another strategy, as another intervention to help you live your healthiest and best life.
Yeah. Nat,
No,
go ahead.
Supplemental.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Sia.
Syya.
No, I was just gonna say, you guys, there's so many questions flying by and
Oh,
comments
sorry.
from everyone, and I just want to say, like, Amy's got a great question, is because I want to ask it too. So thank you, Amy, for asking it. Which is, what's the reason for discrepancy in caregiving costs between ethnicities? Why? What is that?
I fully believe it's because the socioeconomic impact and access. So if you really look at the factors of where our Caucasian friends live versus our Black and brown friends, and look at schools, look at access to hospitals, look at access to professionals. Okay. And these individuals have a harder time building generational and multi-generational wealth than our Caucasian friends. I think you just call that for what it is. Whether people like it or not, there are things that we need to do as a society to help, all ships rise together, not just some ships. And so when we have policies, when we do not put our dollars in areas to lift all citizens, and this is about not only equality, but it's about equity. I think that's going to be important, and that's exactly why my Black and brown friends pay a lot more money than I do.
That's interesting. Like, just I'm hearing you guys over and over, and as we age, I mean, the silver tsunami is a very real thing. It's going to have huge, huge financial impact on the economy, because the millennials, another equally large generation, is starting to age up and they're stuck. Like you say, you've got children, and heaven forbid, golly gee willikers, like, for all of those families out there who have children who have special needs, and you've got parents who have special needs, and compound it, they may not be the most lovely patients for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's sometimes the family members are probably more psychologically and physically abusive towards you, because they think they're family. Like, I can be mean to you verbally because you're family. And I think that's something that is not discussed enough, is the fact that, what do you guys do when you've got someone that you're taking care of who is just an a-hole? Like,
yeah, it's totally true, Sia. Here's the thing. Again, Mental Health Awareness Month. When you understand trauma and how your past experiences are going to impact your ability, not only and impact yourself, but impact your relationships with other people. There are not everyone is meant to be a caregiver, friends. It's not like not everybody's meant to have kids, and that's okay. And so I think and I'm one of them, and I'm glad you pointed yourself, like, Syya and I are like, pick me, we're winners. The reality is that, number one, you can't go broke caring for your parents. You cannot sacrifice your own retirement because your parents' choices. And so this is something that we hear all the time, and guilt is a powerful thing, people. And so I'm glad you brought up individuals caring for children with disabilities, but our individuals with disabilities are living longer, and they're outliving their parents. And that is the parents' scariest thing, is, what am I going to do with my adult child with disabilities and our system does not support them well. Waivers, and you've got some states that have waivers for individual to have access. The waiver wait list is thousands of people. And you know how you get a waiver? You die. When someone dies, that's how you get a waiver, unless your legislative entity in your respective state allocates money to reduce the waiver list, and which means they're simply funding services more. And so this is a societal issue that this conversation is so important, that has ripple effects into other areas, if that makes sense. Jay?
But go into that question about what happens when the person is not nice, because I think that's, I saw Yolanda Chin, she said that's something that really is not talked about. So I will tell you, because I'm the personal experience, you guys are going to get a lot of personal from me. It happens. So, I mean, you have to walk away. Like, that's an action that you do. But when, we've heard over 150 stories already on our podcast. It's so common. And some people, I think about Brutally Beautiful, which is another,
Oh my gosh.
another
Heather
podcast,
Zuccalli, we love
Heather
you.
Zuccalli.
Oh my God.
And some people just have to step away and say, I can't care for this person. You want to talk about a hard story? I can't care for this person. There are stories where, that person has to be, they're placed into another, there's a facility that's the only answer, because that type of relationship, we talk about that emotional trauma, that trauma that is from, that trauma that is from so long ago, that would ruin your life to take that person back in. Let's just be perfectly honest, that type of abuse and that background. But you have to, and we are big advocates, if you are caring for someone, you have got to have, we feel like strongly, Natalie, you deserve to have some counseling for yourself if you are struggling, because that 24/7, or even if it's not 24/7, that reversal of roles and taking on the weight and that burden, but you also are starting to grieve. Our mom has had Parkinson's for 20 years. So there's guilt, first of all, and always wanting to please my dad. Natalie laughs about this. She's like, JJ, you're the guiltiest person, because I feel like it's my responsibility to take care of my mom, first of all. But, the guilt the grief rather that I feel, because you grieve for the life that I thought I would have for my mom. I grieve for going to the beach with my mom, going shopping with my mom, doing all those things. But there are ways that you could even get counseling, because it's anticipatory grief.
Yeah.
It's something that you really have to go ahead and deal with, because it's real. People that are dealing with terminal illnesses, they know that person, they've addressed that person, that person's going to pass. And that's a trauma for yourself already. And so that counseling, that abuse, that counseling, go ahead, Nellie.
Well, no, and I'm just going to say this. Counseling can be paid and unpaid. There's group counseling. There's a lot of different things. We've got a lot of resources on our website that probably 11 pages, single line of resources that people can get access to, that I think is really, really important. So I think there's so many questions. I know we'll go back through them. We'll be happy to share responses, Raquel, because I feel like so many people had so many good comments, but questions as well. And I will say, grief comes when the person passes. It can come before they pass, or it can also come for the life that you expected, like with me and my husband. And so the podcast started from my own grief, and my husband lived. And so I leave you with understanding that grief is very powerful. You will have it ebb and flow in your life throughout the rest of your life. And it's really, what are the strategies and interventions that you apply that resonate with you to help you get through it and help you thrive?
Oh my gosh, ladies, I think, yes, there are a lot of questions flying by. I believe that we may have to do a part two for this. Of this summer series, part 2 type thing, because this is a real thing. This is, again, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is happening across all living rooms in the United States, and in one form or another. And it is important for us to really stay updated on what's going on. How is everything that is going on in society affecting us at the end of the day? Because it trickles down. It really does come and trickle down to us. And how does it affect our daily lives and the quality of our lives? Because let's not even go into the burnout part. Let's not even go into that, because I think we're going to save that for the second
but
part.
Burnout means self-care. Burnout is about self-care.
True.
Yeah.
And we are big into self-care, people.
I mean, this conversation, guys, can go on for freaking ever, because there's so many different aspects that are not touched on, right? I mean, the one thing that gets me is the grief after your caregiving, because you go from being the sole person taking care of another life to, when they're gone, what you lose purpose in a way, doesn't it? Don't you like? And it's like,
I quit my job, Syya, 6 months after I ended caregiving. I gave up my role as CEO. I quit my job. That is super common. And it was because I didn't have the supports I needed, in my opinion, as by my employer, but also personally. So I don't blame it on my employer, but it is a combination of supports. This is goes back. This is why caregiving is a business issue as well.
Yeah, 100%. There's no two ways about it. And again, the fact that the boomer generation is entering, finally, hopefully, please retire, people, There is a big challenge. I mean, I may joke about it, but the truth of the matter is this is going to be a real significant business economically issue, leadership. I mean, all the way down. So, that
Oh
being
yeah.
said,
Oh yeah.
but you know what? Caregivers
Mhm.
do have a respite, right? You have to find those moments in time that you can get away, even if it's just a moment, like go in the shower and just get soaked, right? Or for those that do have the ability, maybe they should go,
Mhm.
I don't know, for a hike or a cruise.
Yeah. We are big fans of self-care. And I see,
Yeah.
Ethel, I see your comment. I'm familiar with caregiver fatigue timeline. So just so that you know that, but self-care and other care. How do you take care of yourself? And that is individualized to the individual. Like people can think it's a massage, it's an hour away. It varies from person to person. It's what do you feel good? But I will tell you, JJ and I are doing, along with 5 other co-hosts, our friends at AEC, Elizabeth Miller with Happy Healthy Caregiver, Carrie Alberts with Dementia Darling, Brain Charge with Vidya, and then Christina Keys. So we've got information I know that you're going to share about the Self-Care at Sea cruise that we're doing October 19th through the 26th. And it is called Do As Much or
Ooh.
As Little as You Want, but we
Yeah.
are big fans, and we love our partners at NCL, which is
Yeah.
Norwegian Cruise Line.
Wait,
Oh my
NCL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean partnership with
Yeah.
NCL? Who would that be? I don't know.
And I haven't had a chance to brag about how awesome that crew is, and you kind of just talked about it.
Okay, I wanted to share that, and it just came out in the wrong format.
That's
That's
okay.
okay.
That's okay.
You know, David Herrera himself was a
So
caregiver.
NCL.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
Oh my goodness. So Norwegian cruise lines. So you're gonna tell me for like 7 days, we're having a whole week of just amazing, just getaway, escape, caregiving relief, respite. So tell us a little bit about that, and then as Syya
I was trying to
gets
queue
the
up
video.
the other video, guys. Sorry. Should I
that's
just do that one? I'll just do that one. Hold on. Let me just queue this one up. Sia's
Yeah,
having fun with
go for it.
Restream Studio right now. Hold on. It's being very unparticipatory for Syya right now. But let's just do this. Here we go.
Yeah, but go ahead and talk about it, Natalie.
Oh, yeah,
no.
these are our
This is the best
co-hosts.
one. We love this.
This is the older version, I think.
everybody's
so.
listening.
Vidya, sorry, I don't think you're on this one. Sorry,
Here's our
darling.
friend Carrie. She's an expert in dementia. Elizabeth Miller, also podcast for caregiving. And there's me. And there's Christina. She's a caregiver consultant. Our friends Christina and Cindy Harden White, they're amazing people, accommodations for everything, and there happens to be a sister. Right. Oh, I love that little jingle.
I know.
Doesn't it feel good? I already feel better right now.
You know, and I think it's
I
it's
love
going to
it.
be so great. But I do want to say that everyone that makes all this possible for us, because it is so important to have the team. And Natalie and I have talked about that. Like your team can be your mailman. It can be, at the person at the grocery store that helps you carry your
Oh my
groceries out
Lord.
because you're just
Love those
exhausted. But the people that help make it possible for us, NCL has been a big supporter of us. CVS has been. They are a heart for us because of the help they gave us with our mom. Tenna Brands, Care Scout, they support our podcast. They sponsor us. We have Care Forward. We'd love to come on and talk about them because that is our tribe. But you have to find your team and find the people. And we have just been over this journey over 2 years. We've just been really blessed to find you guys, just people that have helped us share our message.
Yeah, and in 2 years, just looking at your path and what you've been able to accomplish in just 2 years, it sounds like it's you've done a lot. You've covered a lot of ground, and it's really inspiring for people like us who are on the ground living what caregiving is on a daily journey, on a daily basis, really, and then also out in the community where you see it in how it's expressed in different forms. So just being able to have another safe space where we can be ourselves and it's okay, no judgment. I really appreciate that. So ladies, I want to thank you, and the offer stands for a part two, okay, to come back and just do a summer series. But I know way over time, but I thank you so much for your knowledge, the wisdom, and the expertise that you've imparted with your audience. With our audience, please, audience, go ahead and just reach out to them. Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver is a podcast, and also they're on LinkedIn, they're on YouTube, everywhere, Instagram, Facebook,
You'll find us.
website. They're everywhere. And obviously on LinkedIn, you can contact them and see how you guys can, learn more, collaborate, and hey, sponsor. Always looking for it. Caregiving community needs you. And so this is our parting message. But thank you,
so
ladies.
much. We
It's an
appreciate
honor to
you.
have and we shall have y'all back. But before we definitely wrap up, get our sponsors. I know we talked about sponsors, so let's go ahead and give a shout out
Falling
to one of
asleep
our
with
sponsors.
your neck in the wrong position can be a real pain in the neck. Literally. People of all ages are falling for Tossie. Tossie gives you the comfort you've always dreamed of. Go to TossieBrands.com and get your comfort on.
Thank you for joining. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe and follow us for the next episode.